It has officially happened. Donald Trump has made the first firing of this administration, and it's none other than Kristi Noem. And it happened for one single reason. It's not the reason you might think, or the reason it should be. It's not because Americans were killed on the streets under her watch. It's not because people were deported without cause or due process. It's not because of the human rights abuses in the concentration camps that Trump and Noem helped build. No, it's because she's bad on television. That's it. Kristi Noem is bad TV, whether it's because of bad Botox supposedly seeping into her brain, or because she simply can't speak clearly anymore, or maybe because she's distracted by the alleged affair she's having with Corey Lewandowski. But the bottom line is, Kristi Noem is bad television. And that's exactly how Donald Trump built his administration. He focused on finding people who could go on TV and lie for him. You might think, well, Pam Bondi hasn't exactly done that very well. RFK Jr., half the time it's hard to understand what he's even saying. But these people were installed to act as shameless TV surrogates, essentially operating as state media, whether on Fox, CNN, or CBS. That was their job: lie for Donald Trump and push propaganda. And Kristi Noem failed at that. And believe me, she really, really tried. I want to talk about what Trump said in his post about what comes next and the little send-off he gave Kristi. But first, it's important to make clear just how hard Kristi Noem tried to be the television personality Trump wanted. She spent $220 million on a deliberate advertising campaign, partly to enrich herself and partly to impress Donald Trump. Those fake Yellowstone-style videos of her riding horses were essentially targeted ads for Mar-a-Lago. Kristi Noem wanted Donald Trump to think she was doing a great job at DHS because he could see her on TV riding horses and looking tough. In her mind, that was what good work looked like. Not protecting America or securing the homeland, no. The goal was simply to please Donald Trump, but she can't please him anymore. The $220 million campaign, which she suggested Trump approved, reportedly made him furious. And that, combined with the controversy around her alleged affair with Corey Lewandowski, is now why she's losing her job. And Donald Trump, amazingly enough, just announced it on Truth Social. Trump wrote, "Frankly, I am pleased to announce that the highly respected United States Senator from the frankly great state of Oklahoma, Markwayne Mullin, will become the United States Secretary of Homeland Security effective March 31st, 2026. The current secretary, Kristi Noem, who has served us well, I suppose that's all Trump could say, served us well and achieved numerous and spectacular results, particularly at the border, will transition to become the special envoy for the Shield of the Americas, our new Western Hemisphere security initiative. We will announce this Saturday in Doral, Florida. I thank Kristi Noem for her service at the Department of Homeland Security. Wow, Kristi. What an upgrade, Shield of the Americas. That sounds like a Marvel movie that flops at the box office. Congratulations on another opportunity to possibly cash in again. Because ultimately, that's probably what it's going to be about. But keep in mind, Kristi Noem didn't just run those ads for Donald Trump. That was certainly a big reason, but she also saw herself as the future face, perhaps a Botox-filled, Mar-a-Lago-style face of the Republican Party. Everyone in that cabinet understands that there's a small space opening up for the next generation of MAGA leadership. Marco Rubio is trying to fill it. J.D. Vance seems almost obsessed with it, which makes him deeply uncomfortable to watch in public. All of these people see their opportunity. And what does that tell you about Donald Trump? The people closest to him see a chance to step in and grab the MAGA spotlight. That alone says a lot about what things look like inside his inner circle. Personally, I suspect this move had a lot to do with Stephen Miller finally getting revenge on Kristi Noem after their clashes following the deaths of Laken Riley and Aidan Clark. Katie Miller, Stephen Miller's wife, was reportedly involved as well. So this may be more about Stephen Miller than Donald Trump himself. Trump is certainly angry. He hates bad press. But let me say something about the upcoming Senate vote, because there will be one to confirm Markwayne Mullin. If a single Democrat, other than someone like John Fetterman, who some critics say doesn't behave like a Democrat, votes to confirm him, that person will be seen by critics as betraying their party and enabling policies that could harm Americans. I know everyone in the Senate tends to be friendly with each other, but frankly, that should make people uncomfortable, especially when you see Democrats laughing and chatting with figures like Marco Rubio during events like the State of the Union. No one should vote for him. This confirmation hearing should be used to ask hard questions. It should be a moment to explain why Markwayne Mullin may be just as unqualified as Kristi Noem, and to highlight that this job has become less about protecting the homeland and more about putting on a political show. You saw Republican Congressman Mike Lawler recently claim that Democrats would endanger the country by blocking DH's funding while Trump escalates a war. But from another perspective, it's Trump escalating a war we don't need that could put Americans in danger. So maybe the blame belongs with Donald Trump, not with Democrats who refuse to fund what critics call his private enforcement army. But Kristi, let me end with this. I still want to talk more about the alleged affair and many other issues, but you truly messed this up. How did you manage to get fired from this administration? How did you end up being such a poor communicator? How did you fail so badly at performing for the one-person audience that matters most, Donald Trump? It's almost embarrassing that figures like Pam Bondi and Kash Patel, who critics say mishandled the Epstein controversy, weren't fired before you. That's how badly this went. So today is, in a strange way, a darkly ironic moment to reflect on Kristi Noem's fall. And I'm glad that Senator Sheldon Whitehouse finally raised the corruption issue, something many people had ignored for months, even as questions mounted about the misuse of funds connected to Noem and her staff. Some Democrats even voted for the funding that made this possible, people like Alyssa Slotkin, who supported Noem's confirmation and backed the Laken Riley Act. This is a moment to change course. Use the confirmation hearings, talk about corruption, ask real questions. Don't just hand Trump everything he wants. And with that, I'll end on those corruption questions raised both by Jamie Raskin and by the scrutiny surrounding Kristi Noem's alleged affair, something we've discussed on this show for months. Now we're finally seeing the fallout. Kristi Noem has been humiliated, and the two moments that led directly to her losing her job will probably be remembered as the turning point. Honestly, it's such a dramatic conclusion that you almost feel like opening a bottle of champagne.
Like a personal slush fund, you budgeted an astonishing $220 million for media consultant contracts so you can star in self-promoting photo shoots and lavish ad campaigns like this one of you riding horseback at Mount Rushmore, which was shot during last year's government shutdown. You're living rent-free in the official waterfront residence reserved for the commandant of the U.S. Coast Guard. You spent $172 million to buy not one, but two luxury jets for your travel, and now you're using taxpayer funds to lease a third jet, a $70 million luxury 737 MAX with a queen-size bedroom in the back, a deluxe serving bar, and 4 flat-screen TVs. A big, beautiful jet paid for by the big, beautiful bill. Yesterday, under questioning the Senate, you said you plan to refurbish this jet to make it into this kind of airplane, which is what's actually being used for deportations in order to save the taxpayers' money. In other words, you're saying that's actually a deportation plane, but wouldn't it have been cheaper just to buy a deportation plane in the first place? It's like buying a Rolls Royce to turn into a Metro bus. I was almost prepared to buy that story of how the jet was both for executive travel and mass deportation. And then I heard about an airborne episode of entitlement, arrogance, and contempt that I could hardly believe. Apparently, when your special blanket, your blankie, was left on one of the government jets and not transported over to the new one, your special government employee, Corey Lewandowski, chivalrously stepped forward to fire the pilot midair, a 2003 Coast Guard Academy graduate and distinguished U.S. Coast Guard commander in Air Station Washington, D.C. But then he had to be rehired immediately because there was no one else who could fly the two of you on the rest of the journey back home.
You've called Corey Lewandowski a special government employee. I understand what government means. I understand what employee means, okay? But I don't know what makes him special. Now, I want to give you an opportunity to answer on the record to Ms. Camlager-Dove's question. I know you said it's garbage, and it may be, but I really think you need to say the word no into the record so that you can clear that up.
I think the ridiculousness of this and the tabloids that you are quoting and referencing are insane. And this has been something that I've refuted for years, and I continue to do that.
So it's a no.
What I would tell you is,
we can move on. Hold on,
what you're
Madam
doing,
Senator, we can move on. I'm not going to belabor it.
This is what you do.
Hold on, I'm not doing anything.
Liberal left is you go off and you attack conservative women, and you say that we're either stupid
I haven't
or
said
we're
anything.
sluts.
All right, so listen.
And that's what you do.
Yesterday, Richard, reclaiming my time, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, reclaiming my time. You were asked by Richard Blumenthal yesterday. You were asked by Richard Blumenthal yesterday if Corey was involved in approving contracts. You said no. Do you want to correct that?
What I would say is that he has an advisor to the Department of Homeland Security, has no decision-making authority.
Madam Secretary, do you want to correct it, yes or no? You don't want to correct it? Fine.
Decision-making authority,
hold on.
no role in
not a problem. According to one of the FEMA administrators that you fired, there is nothing, including contracts, that is brought to you that he hasn't reviewed. In fact, a significant amount of DHS internal routing documents has his signature on it above deputy secretaries. Okay, that former FEMA administrator wasn't fired by you, the secretary. He was fired by Corey. It was Corey that called him into your office. It was Corey that made him to submit to a polygraph test. The $100,000 spending rule that you created that comes to your desk, you're not even sitting at your desk. It's Corey who's sitting there. ISIS said the Republicans should be happy at the job that you're doing. Really? You're looking at the person who single-handedly took the president's signature core issue, immigration, the issue that got him elected from 59% to 39%. 200 miles of border walls being held up by you. They had to bring in Tom Homan, pull out of Minnesota. I think the country needs a national divorce from you on biblical grounds. I mean, if Donald Trump was still apprentice Trump, he would look at you and he would realize you're the weakest cabinet member and he would fire you. And if the president said to you that only way DHS could reopen is if you resigned, I hope you would take him up on it. Now, I want to end on a happy note, Mr. Chairman, real quickly. The president gave all sorts of stuff out during the State of the Union. I don't want you to leave. I got you a new Coast Guard blankie, the one you lost. Okay, so this is for you. You don't leave empty-handed when you come to judiciary. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
The gentleman has expired. The gentleman from Missouri is recognized.
It's simply wonderful to see. It puts a smile on my face. And how could it not? It's a wonderful day. I wouldn't call this accountability yet, Christie. I hope you can learn from your appearances before the Senate and the House of Representatives and maybe improve your answers before the Nuremberg-style trials that critics say could one day come your way. That's what some people believe is coming, so you might want to start preparing. You have time to do your homework. Maybe you can dissolve the lip fillers and deal with whatever else is going on with your face. You've got plenty of money to spend. The money critics say you took from taxpayers, so good for you. But accountability is coming. Not just from Donald Trump when he gets angry because you're bad in the media, but also from the public. And people will be watching for that. We'll definitely keep following it. And of course, as always, if you want to support this, you can hit the subscribe button and leave a like under this video. If you stayed until the end, drop a blue heart in the comments, folks. Keep fighting. Don't let anyone silence you. And until next time, maybe the next time we're announcing that another cabinet secretary has been fired. Wow. What a great day. I've got a smile on my face. See you soon.